BMW 325 IS to an X.
So the BMW 3 Series, this is one of the greatest models in terms of car history to ever be built. And I think the 3 Series in general is something that everyone knows, everyone loves, because, well, it's a compact BMW, it's not a huge one. And even if you compare to the cars nowadays, even from the modern BMW generation, there's a lot of hate. A lot of people don't like the grills, but in general, the 3 Series, there's no hate to it. Even the generation before that as well, the Chris Bangle generation. But going to the 80s where there was the E30 series. Now, this generation, I've never heard anyone in my entire life that says, wow, I don't like an E30. Yeah, so E30s are generally loved, and I think E30s are pretty cool as well, because I myself, generally, I wanted an E30 when I graduated high school. So I told my mom, I think I want to get this car. I think it's better than a MyV. It's going to be cheaper than a MyV. Why not get this instead? So I was looking for an E30. I wanted to get rid of the engine. I wanted a Japanese engine, a JDM engine, and I was thinking of an RB back then. So yeah, like any sensible parent, my mom said no. Yeah. So fast forward a few years later, I did get something sensible, I guess. And then now I am here with a car which, in my mind, 10 years ago is something like what I would do. So this is an E30 3 Series BMW. It does not have an RB, unfortunately. That's what I would want. But this has a 2JZ. So a 2JZ, not a 1J, but a 2JZ with the R154 gearbox. So yeah, so this is an interesting project. The car has about 800 horsepower. Well, the engine is rated too, because it has all the right parts. It has been built, it has been balanced, all the crankshaft, all the conrods, the pistons, the injectors have been upgraded. Got the Borg Warner 200SX turbo. That turbo alone is rated to somewhere in the north of 600 horsepower, if I'm not mistaken. So in general, this car can do 800 horsepower, and it has actually done 800 horsepower. But the current owner thought, well, the day he took out the car, he drove it, the tires kept on spinning, so he decided to tow the car instead, and he actually detuned the car because it became a bit unbearable to drive. Not because it was difficult, but it's just there was too much power. 800 horsepower in an E30. So if you think about it, an E30 is generally about 1,000 kilos more or less. But this car has been removed of all the excess weight, removed of all the creature comforts to give you about 800 kilos. So 800 kilos, 800 horsepower, that's about a 1-to-1 power to weight ratio. And I think that is insane, because if you think about it, a 1-to-1 power to weight ratio of an E30, pretty much similar to what that is of a Koenigsegg One. So yeah, can you imagine? At least that car has airbags, ABS, proper brakes. So this car, speaking of proper brakes, this car has been modded to add the things that you should want in a 800 horsepower car. So this car was in fact built for drifting, or at least the previous owner was initially thinking of doing it as a drift car. So yeah, 800 horsepower, but the brakes were stock E30 brakes. Imagine a car from the 1980s without ABS, without airbags, and then having 800 horsepower engine in it. I think that would be insane, and I think I myself would be scared to drive with this thing. However, the current owner has swapped in a set of Akabono brakes, front and rear. And when I asked him, like, hey, why did you choose Akabono instead of, like, you know, Brembo? You got some AP Racings and all of that. And come to think of it, why wouldn't you choose Akabono? Because even McLaren chooses Akabono for the P1, and I think that's amazing. So cooling system has been done. We got some radiators. The R154 gearbox has an OS Geekin twin plate clutch, so that helps a lot with stuff on the car itself. So the engine has been modded. I love the fact that this car has a hole here, and no, the owner did not forget to get new sets of headlamps. That, in fact, you can see right there, that is a HKS air filter. So yeah, air just feeds into the engine directly from the headlamp. You know what, I actually had a similar idea of doing the E30 back then, just wanting to remove that thing. So it's basically me looking at the thing that I've been always wanted to do, and I think it's, oh god, I think it's just lovely. So there is a bit of a patina thing to it. So it's not a show car. It's not really meant to be taken to like the Concours d'Elegance or something like that. So yeah, there are some dings here and there, but that's not the whole goal of the car. It's not meant to look pretty. It does look pretty, so this Oberbayer kit, this is quite expensive as well. It does kind of look like the M3 white body kit. You do get the white body here, white body at the back, you do get that trunk from the M3 and everything, but the thing that makes it special is this inlet right here. So it kind of modernizes the car, a bit of a Ferrari Testarossa vibes. I wouldn't call it E30 Testarossa, but yeah, then again, this has a 2JZ, it's a monster in its own self. What I think is pretty cool about the car itself, it's not that practical. So we talked to the owner and how he's driving. In fact, when he was driving it, there was a fan in the middle of the dashboard, and I thought he did it as a joke, but in fact it was just because the car did not have aircon. And well, apart from that, there are no gauges in the car. He only looks at his speed through a phone, through an app in fact. So the car runs on a ECU Max system. I think the app basically translates everything what engine is trying to tell them, and he just reads it directly from his phone. But I love the fact that everything apart from the gauges can be accessed through the center console or whatever is left of the center console. So you got your horn buttons, you got start button, fuel, window switches, kill switch, just a lot about everything. And also comes with a torque shifter, pretty cool. And I'm not too sure whether it's for the R154 gearbox. But then again, yeah, this car has been stripped. It doesn't look that stripped, but it does not have any insulation on the roof, it does not have any insulation on the floor. The seats are mismatched, they're not the same seats, but I think it adds character to the whole car. And when I asked him, like, why don't you just find your air cons and everything, so like, the car has been stripped down, so all the air is just going to escape through everything that has been removed, so there's no more insulation. So yeah, we have everything removed from the car, only the bare essentials, and really just the bare essentials. I think the only thing that he hasn't removed yet is in fact the door cards, and probably that will be gone as well. So yeah, the E30. So if you do know your E30s well, you can do something like this again. That being said, 2JZs are not cheap. Even the gearbox, the R154, that's from a 1J, and that isn't cheap as well. So with this kind of car, this kind of project, you're looking at 50 grand nowadays just for the chassis, and I think that's a bit too much, because way back when I wanted to get one for myself, they were about 15 grand, and the sedans were about 7 or 8, and nobody wanted them. So yeah, I do kind of regret that I did not get that car, but then again, I did not have 7,000 or 15,000 as an unemployed 18-year-old teenager who just finished school. Well, yes, this is what exactly I had in mind back in the day. I think it's cool. So if you do want to do something a little bit like this, check out the E30 chassis. So I think that is something that you should really think about. So this is an 83 car, and if you do plan on doing an 800 horsepower engine or whatever it is, I think anything more than 400 horsepower, do find yourself an 86 onwards car. So that in fact has a better chassis because they changed up the steel and everything for the car. Apparently it is a bit stronger, so yeah. So but then again, yeah, these are quite expensive nowadays, and I love the fact, so everything about the car, I really like it. Back then I wanted to put a 326 because I wanted an RB26 engine in the car, so I wanted a 326i badge at the rear. But this car generally has the same idea because it has a 2JZ M3 badge, so I think that's really cool. So yeah, this is basically me looking at a car that I've envisioned 10 years ago, and I've never thought or imagined that someone in Malaysia in fact had the similar idea. So yeah, I think this car, this is what exactly I had in mind. So I wanted to go drifting. The owner has done a bit of drifting in it. I would love to take it to the track if I had one. He hasn't, so I'm not that far off, I guess. But then again, 800 horsepower, 800 kilos, taking it to the track in a car all like this, ooh, I'd be scared as well. So yeah, if you are driving on the highway, if you are just chilling in the fast lane, suddenly you do see a black E30 white body behind you with only 3 headlamps, you know what, just get out of his way, because he can go way faster than you did.